RETROSAURUS with Oli and Kev. Well, welcome to RETROSAURUS with
me, Oli,
and me, Kev. And this podcast talks about what is pop culture and what is flop culture. Today, we'll be looking at UK TV adverts from the 1980s. So whether you need a break and need a Kit Kat, or you wouldn't trade Castlemaine 4X for anything else, we've got it all for you here. Isn't that right, Ollie?
Well, I mean, who doesn't love having adverts over and over again? So who doesn't love us talking about adverts over and over again?
Kinder Scrubble.
Kev, you're going to have to help me out with this. What the hell is he? Is he having a stroke?
Okay, so you know that Kinder wasn't really like it wasn't a British thing. There was loads of things that got imported from Europe that I think we got after they did. And I remember when Kinder first came out, and it was like totally like unlike anything else that was
a revelation.
What really was, they were great. So it's like Humpty Dumpty, it's like freaky Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall.
Yes,
talking
nightmarish.
Speaking some sort of gobbledygook, or like, you know, speaking in tongues, you know how religious people do that, you know, or the fanatical.
He's got problems.
Right.
He's got problems, definitely. But then, you know what? If you'd been sitting on a wall your life, you know, I guess you're going to have problems.
So, yeah, and he speaks in this funny language. I'll try and have a go at it. So,
please do.
So it's like, Kinder, Yeeble, Shaky, Mir, Scrooby, Chock-a-doobie.
I was going to say, I understand it more in your Scottish accent than I do watching it. So, you know.
Yeah, well, it left its mark on me. That's why. But to be quite honest,
I wonder if it's a dialect. Are you sure it's not a dialect in Scotland somewhere that I'm unaware of?
Yeah,
on a small island, maybe on the Shetland Island somewhere, like in some town or something.
Someplace where they only eat Kinder or something. Nowadays, though, I think that kids would like to see more blood and carnage when he fell off the wall.
Maybe more realism.
Screwball.
Now, if your town is being hounded by a corrupt sheriff, what would you do about it as a townspeople, Kev?
Call the Milky Bar Kid, clearly.
Of course. Because one, he gives out free Milky Bars.
Yeah. Why? Because he's rich.
Oh, he must be. Well, he's a white, blonde, rich kid. He's all right. He's doing okay. Privilege, doesn't he? Got a lot of privilege.
Yeah.
Got his own white horse and stuff. Wandering around.
Maybe he lactates Milky Bar because he does look a bit milky.
Potentially, I think that's possible. So, yeah, I mean, I think this advert, this is quite good. So there's a corrupt sheriff. He's steals hats. He scares people playing poker or some kind of card game. He's the only adult in a town full of kids.
Yeah.
The Milky Bar Kid comes along and pours some treacle over him. Not sure what the treacle has to do with it. Some chickens fall on him. They tar and feather him, basically. And then, it gives out some Milky Bar. I mean, what you don't see after that is possibly the adult sheriff got up and shot him. But we didn't see that. We didn't see that. Yeah, because,
you know, but the Milky Bar Kid used to frequently change. The child actor changed all the time. My favorite is the little girl that opens the saloon doors and goes, "He's a Milky Bar Kid." Like a perfect Mexican accent or something. Okay, so the Brooke Bond PG Tips Monkeys.
Yes.
Oh, do you remember them?
Of course.
This one, just to set the scene here, there's two chimps. There's a father and son who are pulling a piano up the stairs, and a female monkey comes in with a hostess trolley with tea on it, which is the voice of Beryl Reid, if you remember her. Right. And she interrupts because she's got a trolley of tea, which obviously disrupts everything. And the piano ends up on the boy's foot. And that's it. That's the whole calamity of it. I think you're maybe right. There probably were some animal rights issues with this.
No shit.
Dressing chimps up and making them talk. I'm not quite sure how they did that, but
I don't. Oh yeah,
they had them like drinking tea, moving pianos around.
Yeah,
there's all lots of stuff. They had them like skiing in space. You know, you name it.
Yeah,
and for sure those monkeys were not paid.
No, definitely not. No. Well, the people who own the monkeys were probably paid.
Nowadays, that wouldn't work.
No. Well, these days you could just do CGI, and you could just CGI it, couldn't you?
No, I was going to
So,
say no, it wouldn't work because they wouldn't hire them. They would just hire millennials to do it. Yeah.
well, obviously in PG Chips advert they still have a monkey now, but now it's like a stitched puppet monkey.
Oh really?
And they're
Oh
not
yeah, I've
obviously,
seen that. Yeah.
yeah.
Meh. No, no, much better to get animals to do things against their will.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yellow Pages not really a thing anymore. It's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. How often do you think people actually use it that much? Probably not that much. I'm
I
not
don't think
sure.
I ever used it.
Well, it's not just for the bad things in life, Kev. It's
No.
also for finding
Wait,
books that you've for some reason chucked out that you've written yourself.
right. So tell me
J.R.
everything.
Hartley.
Mm.
I mean, everyone knows
Oh,
this.
everyone knows.
Everyone knows this. He's an old
20-year-olds
man.
probably don't though.
Oh, okay. Well, an old man in a bookshop
Mm.
asking whether someone has Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. And it's sadly gone out of print, isn't it? It's quite
Yeah.
old, apparently, this book.
Yeah.
And he goes everywhere, he goes from store to store, and he goes back to his very opulent home to his daughter. He's like, any luck, Dad? He's like, no. Why don't you try the Yellow Pages? And then one phone call later, and they do have it. They do have it in. Incredible. And then it
She's a
reveals
little
that
bit
he is.
overexcited about this, by the way. Just
She
saying.
is. She is.
She
Very
is,
hammy.
yeah.
But she's been knitting all day. She's hysterical. And then it turns out he is indeed the author of the book. So why he has written a book a long time ago and not kept a copy for himself is bizarre. What's happened here? He must have been giving out those copies of those to loads of his friends and stuff, especially the ones interested in fly fishing.
No, I think
Do you think it was about fly fishing?
it may have been about fly
Was it a
fishing.
metaphor for something else?
In fact, like for public toilet sex or something. In fact, do you want to hear
Yeah,
my
it could be. Do you think it's like?
do you want to hear
Yeah,
my
go on.
version of this? Right.
Yes.
It goes like this. I don't suppose you have a copy of Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. It is rather old. And so there's this rather regal looking gay gentleman who says, no, and then goes, oh, you do? Oh, that's wonderful. Slight exaggeration, by the way. My name, it's J.R. Hartley. You can find me on the sex offenders list.
And in the Yellow Pages under sex offender. Yeah. Maybe fly fishing was like definitely like the 50 Shades of Grey of its time, potentially.
Oh, yeah.
And
my
the reason
goodness.
it's not stocked in any of the normal bookshops is because it's so filthy. He's had to find an erotic bookstore in the Yellow Pages, and then it's there basically in the dirty section. Maybe he would have been better looking in the brown pages.
Why?
Just because it's a lot dirtier in the brown pages.
Sounds pretty dirty already. I think that may
Actually,
just
Yellow
be,
Pages sounds pretty dirty.
that may just be our poisoned minds. Terry's chocolate orange. How safe is yours, Ollie?
Well, I have a very elaborate plan, just in case anyone wants to steal mine. I have a secret door, a lot of trapdoors, a lot of things, a lot of Indiana Jones shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you? Doesn't everyone?
Right. So this was an advert for chocolate orange by Terry's, obviously, and it all starts with this couple talking outside like a home in the Cotswolds or something like that to this woman, and they're saying, is it okay to leave George on his own? And you can see George like peeping through the curtains like a total stalker. Yeah, like a peeping Tom or something.
Neighborhood watch.
But aren't you afraid that he'll find your chocolate orange? And she says, no, I think it's quite safe. And then George...
It's almost innuendo, isn't it? Don't you think innuendo
weird.
In some ways?
Oh, it's creepy.
Like,
the music was creepy.
He won't find my chocolate. He hasn't found my chocolate orange in years.
I bet he hasn't. They both had that look about it. She definitely did. And then he goes into the secret, like, alcove that spins around like Indiana Jones. And then he has to basically do that whole Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark where he has to go through knives and almost falls in a pit of fire and has to roll under the the wall that's coming down and stuff.
Closing, yeah. The budget must have been quite high on that though, because you think there's no CGI effects going on. They had to do that. They have to do those things to make it look real.
It's quite safe, I think, the chocolate orange, because the woman, she's an evil woman, I think, has set up an underground cavern with lethal booby traps to kill anyone who tries to steal it. George looks well dodgy, as we said. I bet he's got, you know what? George has got this look about him, like he just can't wait for his wife to leave so he can call up ladyboys to come round.
She could take the chocolate orange with her. I mean, it would fit in her handbag.
Yeah, but you know, the chocolate orange, I just wanted to say, you know, like a lot of chocolate is highly disappointing because it doesn't last very long. It's
true.
gone in a couple of bites.
Yeah.
Chocolate orange, though, it's a solid ball of chocolate, like
gold, like walking around with gold.
It's unbelievably dense and could take a lifetime to finish, which is quite satisfying when you think about it.
Yeah, true. Kev, have you ever thought about archaeology as a profession?
Not really. However, having just watched the Terry's Pyramid advert, you know, I might be inclined to change profession.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you get to meet a camp mummy in a pyramid? I mean, there aren't many opportunities in life, really, are there?
That's right. The slogan is "Mummies and Daddies Love 'em," read by Kenneth Williams.
I was going to say, isn't it a bit strange as a concept? Really, just a triangle with like mints inside. You just drink the mint out. You just hollow it out and then just have like, okay.
Yeah, that's actually what I loved about it. It's a bit like Carry On Pyramid, but I'm sure they went through a few shapes to get there, you know, like octagon, hexagon, or some equally dangerous shapes. You know, pyramid, I mean, it'd be difficult to get that all in your mouth in one go, wouldn't it?
I'd give it a good go, but yeah, it would be difficult.
Okay, so the advert for the Bird's Eye Steakhouse Grills. Now, I remember this quite fondly, mainly because it was played every single day, about 100 times a day in 1981.
Yeah.
The slogan is, "Hope it's chips." And it's basically about a bunch of construction workers that are in a van on their way home from the construction site, wondering if what their wives will put on the table for their tea. And then it says at the end, "What will you give your old man with his steakhouse grill?"
How sexist.
It's
unbelievably sexist.
Well, you know how they say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I'd say this is definitely true in this case. However, I do think that the way to a wife's heart should be to find a man with higher aspirations than wanting fucking chips and a crappy Bird's Eye burger. It's strange. It's strange because the 80s was highly aspirational. Anyway, so that they're all wondering what they're going to have on their table for tea. And they're all singing, "You'll have to wait and see." And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you'll probably have to wait and see if your wife is still there and hasn't run off with a guy who can actually cook. So yeah, hope it's chips. It's chips. What about you, Ollie?
No, I'm all right. I'll have a fish finger sandwich, please. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm having trouble crossing the road, what I really need is like some kind of like 70s pop star to direct me accordingly. Otherwise, I'm going to die, I think. What about you? So
what we've just watched is Alvin Stardust teaches the Green Cross Code. Is that it?
Yes. Two girls in today's prism, looking back. Got to be a bit careful about 70s pop stars, especially someone looking a bit, how should we say, like Gary Glitter more than Alvin Stardust.
I don't know much about this guy, Alvin Stardust, but I can pretty much guess that he had no international fame and was only famous in the UK.
Now looking on his Wikipedia page, he did have a chart topper with Jealous Mind, but I think these were all like covers, I think.
But it's just basically Elvis in the 70s.
Yeah.
All of them. All of them.
Yeah. But a bad take. But a really terrible, like, out of place
it looked better than Gary Glitter. I mean, Gary Glitter looked like a total boiler, didn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
really.
that's true. And just to clarify, Alvin Stardust is in no way disgraced as Gary
Right,
Litter is in
right,
any way. He's
okay.
was a respectable person. Obviously, at the time, they obviously thought that he'd be a popular person and really cool with kids to teach you about crossing the road. But
Hmm.
I'm not necessarily sure about that. It's
I
not very
think
rock
it's
and roll, is it?
I was thinking that exactly that when I was watching it. I was thinking that these people, they sort of get involved in stuff that you would never get involved in unless you were a celebrity, so a musician, actor, whatever, or
Mm,
a politician.
yeah,
Like, well,
yeah,
basically in the public eye, and you have to basically sell your, what's the word? You have to sell any sort of culture or any
yeah.
self-respect you had, and just do these totally wacky things that don't go down in history at all,
No,
but made you a buck at the time.
yeah.
You know, his acting was terrible. The dubbing was particularly bad in this. It
Why
was
Why do you think they needed to dub? It was sound thing production not a thing at that time. They're like,
well,
no,
it
you
could.
better.
Well, they were on location. It could
Mm,
be that there was noise of traffic,
oh yeah, good point.
right? And they thought, oh, well, let's just dub it all. It'd be easier. But not knowing that they had the dubbers were from like a Bruce Lee film or something.
How about the fact that a man is having to explain to women about how to cross the road because they're obviously not as intelligent as him? How about
I didn't pick that up. What I did pick up was that the way he was dressed, you
Mm,
know, how flamboyant and bizarre he was. Also, his sideburns and stuff didn't even look
yeah.
real. It looked like it'd been painted on.
Mm.
And these two girls, I just thought, I wonder either that's what girls were really into at the end of the 70s or whatever,
Mm.
or they were just thinking, who's this nonsense?
Well, yeah, again, if he's walking down a normal high street in the 70s or 80s in the UK, I think unless he's in Camden Town, I'm not really seeing that he's not really sticking out, and people were like slightly concerned
Mm.
because that's not right, is it?
It didn't really encourage me to stop jaywalking or anything like that.
Do you think that there's a gap in the market for Harry Styles to do the Green Cross Code at this time? Do you think?
Why would Harry Styles do it? Because he's a pop singer. Is that what you
He's a
mean?
pop singer, yeah. He's
Yeah.
the pop singer that comes to mind.
He's also
I think that, yeah.
he's also quite partial to sequin jumpsuit.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So
Is that what it
why not?
takes? Is
I
that
think
what?
it is what it takes.
Why not? Lots of girls like Harry Styles.
Exactly. And in fact, they would cross the road to go and see him. So
Yeah,
maybe it would be like, he has to be on the other side of the road and they have to cross safely in order to see him.
yeah. But don't girls though, when they see their idols, teenage idols, just go totally
Scream
crazy and
and
break
run.
all? Yeah,
True.
scream and run.
It would be dangerous.
I think
Yeah.
that's a recipe for disaster if ever I saw it. Let's go
No.
back a little bit further in time, at a point when Coca-Cola, I presume, wanted to call themselves Coke, right?
Yeah.
And I think there may be some reason why, in fact. Of course, we're talking about the slogan, I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony, right? Basically, just to fill you in, Ollie, on this one, it's people of all races, colors, and creeds are on a hilltop singing with Coke in their hands.
Not on their hands, but in their hands. They are holding it rather than sniffing anything.
Right, right. So, first of all, I have a bone to pick with this, as as usual. I mean,
Yeah.
not all of those people know the words. Did you notice that?
True. That could have been a dubbing. That could have been a dubbing afterwards, though, I think.
It could have been, but they kind of had this
Mm.
glazed look about them, which may have been something to do with the Coke. And lastly, and this is just my opinion, it may not be a fashionable opinion right now, but it is my opinion that you only stand on top of a hilltop singing with people that look like the cast from Hair unless you're truly in a cult. Just saying. Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with you, and that's the first thing I thought when I saw this. They looked as if have been caught in a cult, like they've been imprisoned there and brainwashed on
like
that mountaintop.
It looked like that.
The Manson family.
The
Manson,
Manson,
like the Manson
family. It looked like the Manson family, a Benetton advert, and all of Angelina Jolie's adopted children.
It could be like Wacko, and they're all drinking the Kool-Aid. They're all poisoning the Kool-Aid.
Oh
And they're about,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh my
that's
God.
definitely what it felt like.
However, I was watching the ad and I did kind of feel like kind of singing along a bit. So
Oh,
there was some joy. Maybe I'm just like one of these people that's susceptible to being sucked into a cult.
yeah, you should watch that.
Do you think there's maybe some cult leaders that are lurking around corners just
Yeah,
waiting for
definitely.
unsuspecting Scottish people to turn up?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. You
yeah,
might find someone dressed as Alvin Stardust coming up to you and go, "Wow,
yeah.
fancy joining this cult."
Trying to lure me into their Scientology church with coke.
And the Green Cross
Huh,
Code. It
huh,
starts very simply.
huh.
Yeah. And actually, did you notice they were in a pyramid? So it's actually a pyramid scheme. They were in the pyramids. There you go. It's all a
Yeah,
scam.
yeah.
How well did you do in your exams, Kev, at school? Did you fail everything?
It was so bad. Do you know it's strange because I turned out to be pretty intelligent, really, compared to
Yeah,
some
definitely.
of the morons I see walking about. But and I'm not joking either. But at school, unfortunately, I don't know. I just wasn't there. I was somewhere
Well,
else.
wouldn't you like to have a grandma like Maureen Lipman on the BT adverts to console you? Regardless of the fact that whatever you failed at everything except pottery and ology, sociology.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So this is an advert for BT where what is it? Maureen Lipman's grandson
grandson.
calls her to tell her how badly he's done in his exams,
Yeah.
and she's trying to cheer him up. She's
Mm.
so optimistic, in
She
fact.
is, isn't she? She
Yeah,
is. Everyone always needs plates. I like that. He's past pottery, so everyone always needs plates,
yeah.
which I think is
He
good.
failed all the really useful things and then passed pottery. But actually, you know what? Being a potter, that wouldn't be that bad. I
No, it
don't
wouldn't
think.
be. As someone who got an A level in sociology and a degree, I'm very insulted. Basically,
Yes.
basically what it's saying is you can be a moron and pass sociology. I disagree.
For mash get smash. The smash robots. You can't have a podcast about adverts without the smash robots. It's not possible. First of all, the metal robots are discussing what humans eat after a visit to Earth: potatoes.
I mean, they obviously didn't go to like Asia. I mean, they obviously visited one specific part of Earth, didn't they?
Yeah,
Really, just to realize that a lot of people were having potatoes.
yeah. But they did well because if you've never seen a potato before and you've never seen potato preparation to make mash, which they call
Mm,
smash, they did very well because they found out that people peel them, they boil them, then they
yeah,
smash them all into bits, which apparently is hilarious.
yeah. Well, yeah. Was that because they just have it ready made in a packet? Is that why? Is that
Mm.
what they're laughing at? The fact that we take so much time to do that with a potato when this smash product just has it in a bag that you
Right.
microwave for 5 seconds.
Well, they
I'm
they did
guessing.
they did mention it. They did say it's so primitive. That's what they were
Yeah.
laughing at. And I was like, compared to what? Like, eating bits of metal or something. I really
Yeah.
don't know.
Eating a raw potato? I don't know.
Yeah, but I just love it. It's by Cadbury's. I didn't know if you know
Oh,
that.
okay.
It's called Cadbury's Smash, and it's made with real potato pieces, if you believe that. That ripple with vitamin C. The only thing that I could think Smash is really good for, honestly, is to wallpaper your back bedroom.
Oh, really? Okay, I might try that.
Yeah, I think it's got the sticking power of you know some
The-
hardcore glue. Okay, there was this brilliant advert for Tefal. Okay, and
Hmm,
it's going to be really hard to say anything bad about this because I remember this so fondly as a kid. And
yeah.
right, so basically in the Tefal ad, right, the slogan is "We have the technology because we have the brains." Okay,
Hmm,
and basically it's a man with an extremely large head,
hmm,
and it's for the Tefal Super Safety Fryer, and it's not the only fryer you can buy, but it's the safest fryer you can buy. And then there's like a whole comparison with other fryers, right? And but all these Tefal guys were basically they all had massive heads, and lab coats on because they're obviously,
Mm.
technicians or scientists or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be a scientist if you're developing air fryer technology.
Yeah, that's true. And I used to love them. So anybody at school who remotely had a big head immediately got called T-foul.
Those poor people. But what is interesting though is like the connotation that basically if you have a big forehead, that
Yeah.
means you have a big brain. Is what they're trying to say is only because we've got such big brains and we only such a big head can get such a big brain.
Cadbury's flake. When was the last time you rubbed a Cadbury's flake all over your mouth in ecstasy?
In ecstasy, not necessarily, but usually when I've had a Mr. Whippy of a 99 flake. Yeah, I remember having them as a child and, walking through the sunflowers and getting onto the back of a horse-drawn carriage and whiling the time away. Didn't you?
But I was just going to say, and nobody realized you were gay at that point, or... So what's this advert all about? Well, it's a woman sitting on the back of a horse and cart, skipping through sunflower fields, looking at a Cadbury's flake in total ecstasy and swallowing it in a seductive fashion while looking straight into the camera. Well, I never.
I mean, didn't we all do that? I mean, did you recall Theresa May being asked about what one of her favorite things was? And she said running through a field of wheat. Do you think maybe she was having a Cadbury's flake as she was doing that? Maybe.
I think she had an eclair up her skirt, to be quite honest.
Well, I don't know about that. She's very prim and proper. I wouldn't know. I think negotiations with Europe would have been much different if she'd had an eclair.
I reckon it was very chocolatey and moist. But never mind. It's not important what I think. Not on the world's political stage. No. Anyway, tell me about you prancing through sunflower fields again.
Well, I think that we all did this when we were young, going through the sunflower fields, sucking in, breathing in the pesticides while you enjoyed your favorite confectionery from the 1980s. And then just, you're so full of pesticides into your brain cells that you'll just jump on a random horse and cart and just see where life takes you,
Right.
Why not? That's that's what made me the man I am today.
Great. It was nothing to do with skipping and prancing. Well, that's everything tonight from RETROSAURUS. And God, it's been amazing again, hasn't it?
It's been fantastic. I really can't wait to try and find J.R. Hartley's book in the Yellow Pages.
Would this be a good point to tell you that I previously put a pyramid, a chocolate orange, a Milky Bar, a Kinder, and J.R. Hartley up my arse?
It would be a very appropriate time. I just hope you had some PG tips while you were doing that.
I did, to wash it all down with. So on that note, think on, kids. And remember, don't do this at home unless you see Oli do it in your local Witherspoons. Good night from RETROSAURUS.
Good night.
Scroople.